So when I was introduced to the 20 to 35mm lens, I got really excited about the possibility of creating your sort of traditional still life, but then adding a sense of elevation to some of the objects within that still life and kind of bringing it a little bit to life. And so what I've done is I'm collecting flowers from my own garden, fruit, vegetables, vases, things I've collected, like little tidbits that I'm piecing together into these still lives. And then I'm also introducing people in here and there, and just, I guess, playing with that still life genre, and but adding like a little bit of magic into what is ordinarily quite a controlled, staid setup. So it's a little bit of a twist on it, and the ability to go from 20mm to 35mm means that I'm able to capture like as much around those images as I need to. So because I'm like, for instance, with the flowers, I'm wanting them to float up, I can allow that floating of the objects. I've got enough space to let that scene kind of come to life a little bit. Woohoo! Wow, it's actually really light. That's amazing. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's got a good weight to it. It's like it balances out the camera, and yeah, nice to hold. Very happy. I love the ratio. I just, yeah, it's amazing because it's quite a wide angle, but I'm not getting distortion, which is beautiful. I've been working underwater for a little while now, and I've often found there's a lot of limitations with the way I shoot, having to work with an underwater housing. I like to have a lot more control in my shoots, so that was what really motivated me to create the underwater studio, so that I could be outside the water with full control over my camera and lighting and get the shot that I'm looking for. My biggest challenge with the underwater studio is that there is so much light because I'm outside. The way that I'm approaching the lighting for this series is essentially blocking out the light so that the light that does come in is directed where I want it to. So like cutting out areas of light using black fabric, I'm aiming to create a situation where I'm creating light which comes in from a high corner source, so that it's giving a particular effect which is common to sort of the Dutch painting genre. I'm able to create scenes which are quite dark and atmospheric whilst having beautiful highlights and accentuating the beautiful colour in the objects I have under there. The inspiration for this series came from having admired still lifes for a very long time in paintings. I really thought that there was a lot of room to play with animating some of those objects and bringing them to life, which is why I focused on creating the suspended moment. Within this series, I'm also playing on that sort of traditional portraiture in the same way that I'm borrowing from the still life. And using this wide-angle lens, I can get a real sense of like an atmospheric kind of environmental portrait in a traditional setting. But then I can also zoom in and get a more formal sort of traditional aspect with that 35mm. So it's really adaptable, and this series plays to what I see as strengths that I can draw on in my practice. When I was starting to take the photographs of the underwater still lifes, I played with the focal length, and I was just blown away by what I could achieve at both ends of it and everywhere in between. Well, I've been doing a number of underwater shoots over the years, and the biggest challenge is being able to have the people you're photographing understand what you're asking of them. So it takes a lot longer, and there's often a lot of kind of conversations that have to happen before they're even in the water. With this series in particular, I put all of the controlled elements in, but then bringing my own style to it is kind of bringing in a sense of spontaneity. So that becomes the human element or the floating element. So it's a mixture of having these constrained, set, pre-planned parts of the shoot, and then also allowing a little bit of spontaneity happen. The color is awesome. I'm trying to attain a painterly kind of quality, and which is absolutely here in the photographs. The reds and the oranges are just absolutely luminescent, and everything is super sharp and amazing clarity. By pairing the GFX100S with the GF20-35mm wide-angle lens, I'm able to achieve the beautiful color that I try and create in my photographs, the quality, and the ability to make these into huge prints, which is the ultimate aim of all of my work.